Aloha, Chair and Council members. My name is Jade Moreno. I'm with the Maui Housing Hui, and I'm testifying today in strong support of Bill 9. I'd love to come here and talk about the cultural costs of the status quo, but it's clear to me that the economic conversation surrounding Minatoya needs to be grounded in a more balanced context. Some folks boil economics down to the concept of supply and demand. This is a foolish oversimplification of a complex issue with economic drivers and systemic flaws that led us where we are today. Here in a council chamber discussing a market failure and the responsibility of governing bodies. Market failure exists because the market does not hold the solution to every problem. If the housing market does not provide housing for the people who live here, this is a market failure. When market failures occur, it is the government's job to step in with thoughtful policy to correct the failure. Bill 9 is one such policy. Our housing crisis is the result of many things, including the outsized influence of developers, the rise of STRs, a policy preference for protecting speculative investments, long construction timelines, limited water availability, the devastation of the wildfires, an inequitable landlord-tenant code, and a weak political appetite for challenging the notion that capitalism holds the answer to our problems if we just let the market do its thing. The status quo got us here, and it certainly won't get us out of this crisis. If we keep treating speculative, off-island investors' potential profits as more valuable than providing opportunity for basic needs like housing, our crisis will go from bad to worse as a matter of inevitability. What happens when we prioritize local families? When homes are occupied by local families, the money they spend stays in the community. It moves through local shops, services, school activities. Economists call this the velocity of money. Each dollar spent locally typically generates up to $10 in additional economic value, and that's spent again and again and creates a more stable economic activity. In contrast, money leakage is what happens when short-term rental owners who live off-island take their money with them. I encourage you to review the cost-benefit analysis that we've emailed to all the council members, and I have a paper copy if anyone would like one. It quantifies this impact in far more detail. It shows that while STRs generate tax revenue, the benefits to local families of returning these homes to long-term use far outweigh the costs. We gain not only housing, but also a higher economic circulation, reduced homelessness, lower public health costs, stronger community cohesion, and we would slow the cultural costs that we have been paying as well. We cannot afford to continue to let tourism cannibalize our communities. This bill is a step forward that is grounded in solid economics, public interest, and local values. Please vote yes on Bill 9. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Aloha members of the Housing and Land Use Committee. Aloha Chair Kama and Vice Chair Hodges, wherever you are. Aloha. My name is Jordan Hocker. I am the Community Outreach and Education Coordinator for the Maui Housing Hui. And once again, I'm here in front of you talking about renters' issues. Maui Housing Hui took the time on this issue to prepare a cost-benefit analysis, which other members of our team will talk a little bit about. But the main purpose of this cost-benefit analysis was to represent externalities and additional costs to our community outside of the UHERO report. The thing that I found most impactful when I was researching my part of this was how there is a direct positive correlation between rental prices and STR saturation. This has been well documented in places like San Francisco, New York, and Boston. In New York, some of the cases in certain boroughs like Brooklyn saw that as short-term rentals proliferated, about 44% was the increase on their rental prices. We can't look away from this issue anymore, okay? And I'm in front of you a lot. $25 million per district is what it would take to bring people out of cost burden status. And after doing budget hearings, you know we don't have that for every single district. It's a nuanced issue, but it does come down to available inventory. So, yes, to quote STR owners, it is about supply and demand. But there's an additional element here that was identified in San Francisco. When we have a high amount of short-term rentals, that pool typically takes directly from a long-term rental pool. So when they are converted, most of the time, they were formerly long-term rentals. And so you don't just have an affordability issue where there's a limited inventory driving up prices, you actually have an STR inventory taking directly from long-term rentals. And the reality for our work and what our bottom line is that renters occupy that 70% AMI and below. These are the people most at risk of becoming unhoused, which we shell out a lot of money to not take care of that issue. But they're also the people most in danger of having to move. If you do not have property and property ties here, then you're likely renting. and you're gonna seek greener pastures, or you're gonna end up sleeping in your car. And if you own 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, you own property at all, you are leagues above in terms of what you have than the people who are really on the receiving end. The reality is this type of gentrification comes for the people who are most vulnerable. There's no way around that. It's represented in research and data. It is not up for debate. It is a fact. Gentrification hits the people who are at the lowest among us the hardest. And in that case, that is our renters. If you are not going to stabilize our rental prices, Bill 9 is our best bet. And it is why we are in support of Bill 9. We need additional inventory release to long-term rentals. The reality is the costs that are outlined by these STR owners, we're already paying that. We're already paying that, we're already here. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Questions? Member Paulton?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Hocker. So I just wanted to clarify what you were saying about STR saturation and rental prices. It's not necessarily that those bottom people would be the ones to move into the STRs, but that it would bring down the rental prices if it wasn't so saturated?
Yeah, so functionally, STR conversion, like in the case of the Minatoya usage, particularly for ones that were formerly residential properties, pull typically directly from a long-term rental pool. It's both a demand issue, it's both a housing affordability issue, but it is additionally an inventory issue. Did that answer your question?
I believe so, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.